Brutally Opinionated Podcast. And I'm your girl, Shanika Nate. And this is my and this is my brother.
Big Pete, we in the building.
And you are listening to the Brutally Opinionated Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, we like to be intentional with our conversations, right?
Of course.
So that talks about everything that influences our culture and it affects our culture.
Yep.
And you never know who's dropping by.
Yeah. You never know who coming in, to be brutally honest,
right.
tonight. So
we like to call this a safe space.
Yeah.
For our guests to speak as freely as they want to and very authentic. So,
That's right. We want them to tell their story.
Absolutely. That's the aim that we're going for.
That's right.
And this one is quite different. It's real special because we definitely have a special guest. And it happened to be in honor of the 33rd anniversary of one of the most favorite classics in 90s history. So you might know this gentleman. He's been on the Cosby Show. He's been on. You seen him in the movie Trespass. What Ice Cube and Ice-T.
Yep.
But the most famous role that he's known for is Choir Boy from the Five Heartbeats.
Oh yeah, I know everybody know that movie.
Everybody. But he's so much more than that. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Tico Wells.
All right. Salute, Mr. Tico Wells. Thank you for joining us, my brother.
Hey.
How you doing?
What's up?
Appreciate you, my brother. What's going on?
How y'all doing?
I'm doing great. You're looking nice and refreshed and youthful.
I took a bath.
Man, look, man, we keep telling people, man, it's something in the water over here, man. Black is beautiful. What's going on, King? How you doing?
Good
Fine,
thing we
I'm
never
doing
look
good.
like what we've been through.
I'm doing good. I can't see both of y'all. I can only see Nene.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
I would love to see. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Now, you go by what name do you go by, brother?
So I go by Big Pete, but my government name is Peter. No problem there.
Government
what's going
name.
on, brother?
Government
How you
name.
doing? Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
What's your spiritual name? Big Pete.
I like that.
That's a good question.
But you know what? I believe my spiritual name would be Big Pete.
Okay.
But spiritually, Peter means rock. And I do believe that applies to me in several facets of my life because I'm often the solid foundation around a lot of people. So
I like that. Well, it's good to have that solid foundation in the house.
appreciate
And
it,
I
King.
think
Thank you.
I heard Queen Mom Michelle in the house.
If I'm not sweet darling.
If I'm not mistaken. What's up, sis?
Yes. How are you, sweetheart?
All good. Let's get
beautiful.
it rolling.
I know, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting back here and getting ready to enjoy this interview.
That's right.
Now, are you going to be involved, Michelle?
If I need to jump in at any given time, all y'all got to do is call my name. I'll be there.
Okay.
Any given time, we're going to point to Michelle if she needs to jump in. Or since Michelle is the reason Brother Tico Wells is here with us today. Thank you, sister, for throwing this beautiful
this is going to be great.
alley hoop because this film is such a cultural classic. I know for me.
Yes,
so I've told a few people and they was like, what? So this is going to be a good conversation. So.
Yeah, you know when you hear him say duck, let's do it like we did in the tunnel.
It's something different.
That's about to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we're gonna jump on in this conversation, and my sister Nene gonna kick it off.
All right.
All right.
So,
hey, Nene.
How you doing?
It's good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Finally meet you as well. How
Yeah,
do I?
why y'all want me here? Talk to me. What y'all want to talk about?
I like
What y'all
that.
want to talk about? What y'all want to talk? Why y'all pick me?
I
Of
like that
all the
because
people, y'all could have got Jamie Foxx and Cat Williams and Serena Williams, Tiger
I'm gonna let
Woods.
I'm gonna let you start with that one, Nene, and I'll come in to help you out with that one.
and that's true. But I feel like with this conversation, it's going to be different. It's going to hit the target just by talking to, Tico, through several conversations. I want to understand his spiritual path, and just your thoughts on today's climate. So Pete often says, "What join the conversation?" So that's pretty much what we do: is have a conversation, and it leads into a whole nother realm.
And I know particularly for me, I like to pluck the brain of those who carved out a way to be successful in a certain period of time where success wasn't as easy to obtain for people that look like us. So I'm often interested in the story, the journey, and the person. So, like you said, we can talk to everybody that you named, but tonight we got Tico Wells in the building, man. So
all right,
they may come, but tonight it's about you, my brother. So that's the conversation we having here tonight.
About us.
That's
Hey,
right.
you just reminded me of brother Rakim, rapper extraordinaire from the
I can
80s
see that.
fame, Rakim.
I can see that. Why did you
Yeah,
come
have
in
you
there?
ever gotten that before? Have anybody made comparisons?
So I have never gotten the Rakim comparison. This is actually a first. So but the reason is so Rakim is literally my favorite rapper of all time.
Oh man.
It is literally Rakim and then Scarface. Like those are my top two. And because Rakim was introduced to me first through my dad, he was my first introduction to hip hop and storytelling. So that was kind of why I think I float with Rakim, and then I gravitated to, of course, Scarface, because if you know hip hop, those are some of the best storytellers probably in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love when I first heard Rakim in the 80s, man. It was this combination of strength, intelligence, and integrity. Those are the three words that came to my mind. And rap has changed so much since then. And I'm not one of those people that say, "Oh, back in the days it was better." And but I know that towards the late 80s, there was this consciousness that was in hip hop.
It was substance.
The gangster movement, the gangster rap movement took it in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then right now it's in a very interesting direction. The whole entertainment is wild right now. It's like this was the year of the cat,
Yeah.
He kind of kicked it off. And it's funny. I met Cat Williams a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We did Robert Townsend did the making of the 5 Heartbeats. It's a documentary.
That's one of my favorite directors.
Have y'all seen that?
No.
It's called Making the 5 Heartbeats. And I told Robert, I said, this is one of his best movies that he ever did. It's just about the journey that he took from his childhood as an actor in Chicago and theater, and he was actually had a small part in Cooley High, and he wanted to know why the Temptations broke up. Mm-hmm. And that was one of his favorite groups growing up. And if you ever get to see that documentary, but anyway, Cat Williams came to the screening, and I said something to him when he turned around. I said, man, I saw you on the street one day, man, and I waved to you, man. I said, you just blew me off, or something like that. And then later on, I thought about it. I said, of all the things I could have said to somebody, to start a conversation off, I said something corny like that. But I've always enjoyed his first of all, comedians have always had this daring vibration about them, that they will say things that most of us are afraid to say, but maybe even think. I'm disappointed a little bit of the entertainment industry, and maybe this is what it needs right now, to have things blown open in the atmosphere. But the beefing and the gangsterism in entertainment is off the chain.
Yeah.
And in rap and in with actors, and I don't know what happened, but the beefing is this is the year of beefing, and I realized that if there's not a system in place for healing, then all people actually know how to do is destroy each other like crabs in a barrel. So from the time of slavery until now, we've had different spiritual, factions, mostly the Christian church, which was our place of healing. But now even the church is gangster. We're minister against minister, and I'm doing the right way, I'm living right, and you're not living right. And this one's not living right. And we got the best church. And we know, no, y'all got the wrong religion. Our religion's the best. No, y'all not. Y'all calling them the wrong name. Y'all should be calling them this. Y'all shouldn't be calling them that. They didn't have the letter J in those days. So we're in a system right now where there's a lot of beefing. And instead of following in that direction, I want to go towards the light, like understanding that as much negativity as there is, we can extract just as much positivity, and that's where I am in my life at this moment. I still act from time to time. I don't chase it. I don't think Hollywood is looking for me. I'm not looking for them. If we meet and intersect, that's cool.
That's right.
I'm of sound mind, constantly working on my health and trying to share what I've learned at this point with other people about health, about thought, about spirituality, about relationship, about healing and consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's who I am. Go ahead.
It's funny you say that, because that's the conversation that we have on a daily basis. Getting back to our spirituality and healing. This is why this podcast is so important to me, why I love it so much, because when you look at yourself and, other guests that we've had, they just only see that little small portion that you allow them to see as far as entertainment wise, but not taking the time to realize that they are human beings as well. They go through the same thing that the average day person goes through. The only difference that separates it is the income bracket. And sometimes, I'm not going to even say sometimes, I think most, maybe all the time, society paints our people as monsters. We are placed in situations to provide for our different survival needs, whatever that may be. And you never know what you may have to do in that situation, but they want to villainize you for it. And I'm so glad that you talked on what's going on in Hollywood, because definitely we're going to dive into that. But this is why it was so important to have this conversation, because we want to know who Tico Wells is, like, as far as where you were born and when you grew up and how you became the person that you are today.
Yep.
So if you can tell us, from the beginning, like, who is Tico Wells? What's your background?
I was born in Washington, D.C.
All right.
Okay, I would have never known that. Okay.
DC.
Yeah, my people are from Petersburg.
Wow.
Really? Okay.
You know Petersburg?
That's like 30 minutes
Yes,
away.
we do know Petersburg.
Yeah, very well.
I know Petersburg a little bit too well.
So back in the 60s, Petersburg was where you had a whole city of Black homeowners
Come on.
and people working to send their kids to school. The streets were clean. Me and my cousin my cousin Woody Lowe, we used to go and bottle hunt. We used to call it bottle hunting. And we collect bottles and sell, give them back to the store and get our little money that way. That was one of our hustles. My parents had, my aunt and uncle had some land out there where Petersburg High School is. And we used to grow cucumbers, string beans, you name it, all squash, butter beans, all that stuff. So in the summertime, we would be out there picking, and then we put the vegetables in our wagon and go through Petersburg and sell our vegetables. So those were two of our main hustles right there.
Oh man.
Collecting bottles and turning bottles in and selling vegetables.
History lesson.
And it was safe. I'm talking about 2 8-year-old kids. Feel that. Like kids don't go outside like that today.
No.
I mean, we would get on our bicycles and we were all over Petersburg. My grandmother lived on Halifax Street, and my aunt, uncle, and my other grandfather lived on what's called Wythe Street now. It used to be Shepherd Street.
That's not too far from the college.
Oh, Wythe Street. Yeah.
Yeah. Washington, Washington Street and all that.
Yeah, it's not too far from Virginia
clean.
State.
Exactly. My mother went to Virginia State.
Okay.
That's where my daughter going.
Really?
Yeah.
It used to be Virginia State College.
Wow.
It used to be Virginia State College.
Oh, this ain't
okay.
That's it for me too.
Because they never told. I never knew this about Petersburg. That sounds like Atlanta now. What Atlanta is now, Petersburg sounds like.
You had a lot of little Black communities all over the country where that's the only place we could live and wanted to live. And eventually, as people started to make more money, they wanted a bigger house. So to get a bigger house, a brand new house, you had to move further away. And we just eventually spread out from the epicenter of our major cities that we lived in. And what was left was the old people. And then eventually, as the 80s came along, the hustlers trying to survive. I don't even blame the drug dealers and stuff as much as looking at it from a perspective of, I'm not going to college. I didn't do good in school. So my boy around the corner wants me to push this weight so I can make a few bucks like that. But then they ended up feeding the prison system, which is a business that was basically designed for Black people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
It's the new slavery.
Well, slavery never officially ended, like Kanye said. A lot of people were confused when Kanye said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves, because in the 13th Amendment, it says that slavery or involuntary servitude shall not be tolerated except if you're convicted of a crime.
Yep. So
they started making up all these different infractions and taking Black people in, and they created the prison industrial complex. And we unfortunately, many of our young people fed it. We didn't understand the law, and we didn't know how to do things, quote unquote, legitimately. So we developed a criminal population, just from a mindset of pain, a mindset of hurt, and then we didn't understand the psychology of it. So we looked at these people as negative, bad people, as opposed to how do we solve the circumstances that got them to that place? Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay.
So we do the same thing today with people who we look at and we put them down. I think the word is vilify, and we shun them, and we don't realize the upbringings that they came from, the social, psychological warfare that they were not able to overcome as well as some other people, the the behaviors that are part of what we might call insanity. And we think that money solves that. So we see our people flaunting, the watch, the this, the that, as a symbol of success. So something you said, Nene, you said something about the income separates the entertainers, but we don't know how much a person is making. So the myth has always been, I thought when I went to Hollywood, that, the doors are just going to fling open. I'm just going to be a multimillionaire from movies and television and blah, blah, blah. So you see somebody's face on television and you relate instantly to some celebrity that has a lot of money, and you combine these two, the regular working actor with the so-called superstar, and you think that the income level might be similar, whereas one may have done a TV show and made 6,000, whereas the other one may have made 100,000 for the same amount of time. But one may be the star of the show, and one may have just come on for that week.
Yep.
So it's a lot of charades in our society. And it's only the entertainment business, it just shines a light on it. It makes it seem bigger than, let me turn my, on this, I got calls coming in and stuff.
Yeah, you good.
Wait a minute,
good,
y'all just
brother.
Lost me, right? Okay,
No, you good.
We got you. Yeah.
Do you know? Does that make?
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it makes all the sense.
Yeah.
So you might see a Rick Ross or somebody with a big house and everything. Like he's got this famous house that Holyfield had, right? And then you might see another rapper, and you figure, oh well, rappers got all this, and you really don't know what their circumstances are. So one thing we get to do is to catch ourselves assuming what people have, what they're going through, because we really don't know. I don't know most of the people in the entertainment business. I don't know what they have, blah, blah, blah. I know that when a bill comes into my mailbox, I got to deal with it. And I know what I have to deal with it with. Right?
Yeah.
And, Kanye one day was saying, hey, I'm broke now. I only have 150 million. Most people can't even, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So thought, the idea of thought is a conditioned interaction between our mind and the repetition of what's coming at us. This repetition from the time we're born. Dada, say mama, dada, mama, dada. That's mama, that's dada. That's mama, that's dada. And the rest of our life goes in that same direction. That's good, that's bad. That's good, that's bad. So by the time we're 10, 20, 30, etc., we actually think we know what's good, what's bad.
Yep.
Based on the repetition that has come into our life.
I like that. So with that, how did you get to this space? Because I know with us, when we take these journeys, right, we don't start there, right? And so that's the piece we kind of like to touch on with people who, it may be a guy, young lady, somebody that's listening to this that may be, thinking about this same thing. What in your life sparked this change of, again, thought and what you believe the industry was to where you are currently?
I was always a curious kid. My mother, like I said, she went to Virginia State. She was studying to be a teacher before she had me. And my dad was a teacher as well. And my stepfather loved learning. The women in my family were teachers. I had education around me a lot as a kid. My mother would help me with my homework. I loved, back in the day, we didn't have Google. We had encyclopedias.
I
remember. I learned to read. And reading opened up areas where I could explore. Even though I don't read much now, I'd rather do an audio book or video.
Me too.
But I got tons of books in storage now that just some of them I haven't even read. But I had been around people that turned me on to learning. And earlier in my 20s, I moved to New York City, and the vibe was just totally different from what I knew in DC and Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland. And there was Harlem, and there was this idea of the Black intelligentsia, the conscious community. And I started going to spiritual bookstores and understanding that outside of Christianity, there was a whole world. Christianity and the Bible, which was my foundation for what spirituality was cracked open in my early 20s, where people were turning me on to that there are alternatives in every single field of life, including religion, including what a school is, including what education is, including what health was. I started learning about herbs, going to herbal classes up in Harlem on 125th Street on Friday nights. Right. I had my first herbal company when I was 20 years old, a company called Shackley. Okay. And I used to distribute natural products and stuff like that. So I was curious. And when I was 6, I told my mother I was going to find a cure for cancer. Okay. So I thought I was going to be more like a scientist or what we call a allopathic doctor. Okay. Allopathic is the regular MD. When you see MD, your general practitioner, ear, nose, and throat doctor. We call that allopathic versus naturopathic. The naturopathic doctor is seeking to have things from nature be our medicine. And even in the Bible, it says, let thy herbs of the field be thy medicine.
Yep, sure it does.
So I was introduced to learning metaphysical. They call it metaphysical. And I hate to use labels sometimes, but to me, metaphysical meant that I had the freedom to explore the universe. I didn't have to accept something just because mama, dada, mama, dada. I didn't have to accept that. And so it's just been a progression. It's been a steady progression of learning, stumbling, learning, stumbling, learning, stumbling, and understanding that the stumbling part is part of the process, the yin and the yang. Whereas our society wants to paint a picture that you are pure until you're caught being unpure.
It's so unrealistic.
It's totally unrealistic. So people are lifted up on a pedestal, and then if there's any leaks in the bucket or whatever, the whole thing comes crashing down, and the judgments about that person.
Yep.
And you can name the names.
Everybody nodding.
I'm not even going to go through the names of the last couple of years of the people that have tried to be destroyed instead of healing. I always wished I had the opportunity to sit down in a room with Will Smith and Chris Rock and have a truth session with them, a healing session, because our people are not trained in healing. So all we know how to do is take sides. You're right, you're wrong. You're right, you're bad, you're good, you're bad. And we don't know how to build our community up. And I'm not even going to say it's by design. I'm just going to say it's by observation at this point for me. I don't have to blame it on the white man. I don't have to blame it on anybody. I can just observe and go, that's kind of missing. That's kind of missing. How do we take our people instead of being on the internet, giving everybody the finger, take them into a room the so-called victim and the so-called perpetrator, sit them down and let the healing begin. Okay,
Yep.
because the victim needs the perpetrator and the perpetrator needs the victim. It's a symbiotic relationship. They fit together. So,
Tico.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh,
A
for real.
whole sermon, a whole word in here.
No, and
It's-
that's why I asked the question, because I felt like somebody needed to hear that.
They do. Absolutely.
Somebody's gonna need to hear that. And like he said, you don't want to put labels on things, but this is why we need to talk to the elder statesmen, as I like to call, because we need to bridge that gap. And that's why I love what you touched on, because that's the space that I'm in. And the reason I'm in that space is because I came back from Africa, a particular part of Africa, and the community is not about tearing each other down, but building each other up. And so that's the energy I came back with since last year. So it's refreshing to hear that the older generation is trying to share that information. And that's why we have you on this platform. So when you ask why we got you on here, this is why you on here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to Sierra Leone?
I went to Senegal.
Oh, okay.
Extremely peaceful village. Like I said, people don't even have guns there. I mean, it felt like I was back in time where they was talking about, if things happen in the community, we deal with it. The people better hope the police get there in time. And you know, it just took me back to people making sure that if this family next door is starving, they're going to eat. If they don't have anything, we're going to make sure that they have it. And it's not about your class. It's not about your position. It's not about your wealth. It's not about what, you know, where you are in life. It's just about, I don't want to see my brother or my sister poor, hungry, starving, and down. So anything I can do to uplift, I want to be a part of that.
And we've lost that. We lost that here, over here. We've lost that because it's so much about humiliating that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
what's that song Kanye had about? She ain't messing with no broke niggas.
Gold digger.
Yeah.
Gold diggers, yeah. You know, it's like when I was a kid, we used to laugh at people who were, at the time we called them retarded.
Mm-hmm. You can't say that now, though.
You know, I mean, who made up that we can't even say it?
Exactly. Come on now. That's
Who
why this
who is the gatekeeper that is controlling the narratives of what we can and cannot say?
Mm-hmm.
We used to say faggots back in the day. So and so's a faggot, and before then it was a sissy.
Mm-hmm.
And then faggot came in, and then gay, and now gay used to be in all of the musicals on television and on the stage.
Yep.
It meant happy.
Mm-hmm.
So and so's happy and gay, you know.
Yep.
And now you're hearing gay less and less. Who is the controller to tell me what is appropriate for me to say? Like prior to the internet, people did not curse nationally in an open forum. The internet is not network television. People can say damn and shit and fuck.
Yep.
All of this stuff. I was scared. I never let my mother hear me say none of that unless I was playing a role, right? I was so scared because I was from that old regime, you know. But now it's nothing to hear somebody cursing. And at first it was shocking to me, but I curse in my normal life to certain people. My boys, mostly my boys.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
It's an expression.
Did you know there is a medical reason why cussing is good for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody should do it at least once a day.
I do it. Well,
Michelle's wisdom.
Yes, Mom Michelle.
Yeah.
I think I go into overkill sometimes.
Yeah.
You're right healthy then.
Uh,
That's why you look so
but
youthful, Nene.
also,
Yes.
also, is it controlling us or we controlling it? Like some people cannot go a day without saying nigga, 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 nigga,
That's a
nigga,
good
nigga.
question.
I did not grow up saying nigga.
Mm-mm.
I'm saying right now, I'm probably said it more times than I've said it in the last 2 years, just because I just felt like I could say.
Feeling brutally.
Yeah, that's
Nigga,
not
that's
my
all.
word. That word
Yeah.
doesn't feel good coming out of my mouth. I had to ask Robert Townsend to stop saying that to me one time. I said, brother, you're the only one that calls me that. And I knew deep down in his heart, it was love, because he loves me like his little brother. But I don't really appreciate a lot of times that word coming at me. Like when dogs started becoming popular, I did not like people saying, yo, my dog. I didn't relate to it. And I might have been a little snooty about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, might have been a little snooty, but it didn't feel right to me. When somebody says, yo, King, what's up? I'm in alignment with that.
It's different, right? It's different.
It's different. The energy's different. It's almost like when somebody says nigger, they are making sure that you are to stay down.
Mm-hmm.
Which has some purpose too. Don't get a big head, you know what I mean? Stay regular, but it doesn't have that super powerful, I'm uplifting you to your greatness vibe. For me, I can't speak for nobody else, but for me, I feel uplifted when somebody says King, or even my brother.
Yep.
I feel more uplifted because I am a child of the universe, a child of the Most High. And you know what feels good at this point in my life is that I'm not as fearful about being more transparent at times spiritually, because I have expanded from my Christian roots. I still have my Christian roots, but I've gone deeper into even understanding what the Bible is, where it came from, who wrote it, where we get this from, and why should I give the authority to this book? I get to ask those questions.
A plagiarized book.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
I get to ask that. I get to ask, when was Jesus here? Or Yeshua? Or Yahushai, as some of my Hebrew Israelite brothers used to say in New York. I saw a brother the other day, he said, Yehoshua. I don't know. I don't know what the names are, but I get to investigate that. I get to question that. I give myself the God in me, the Christ within me, the light within me has the authority to question that. One day I woke up and I said, you know what? I keep hearing about the Romans. I don't know jack about the Romans. Let me go and do some investigating. What was the Roman Empire? What was that? What was the Council of Nicaea? 325 AD. If they know 325 AD, why can't anybody tell me accurately when Jesus Christ was here? Let alone, when did he die? When did he die? Okay, people tell me the Bible is a book of history. I don't see no dates.
Come on.
Show me some dates. Okay, it says Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and they were the only 4 people, and Cain killed Abel, and now there's 3 people. Then Cain went off and found a wife.
Where the wife come from?
Where the wife come from? They said the serpent came up and told Eve, if you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, in that day you shall surely die. She and Adam ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and in that day they did not die. But it says they were cursed. And she was going to be cursed in her childbearing. And he was going to put separation between the man and the woman. And then my brother Carlton Pearson started saying, that sounds like a psychopathic type of God. Like he's got some anger management issues.
Sound like a controlled man, right? Wrote that book.
Whoa.
And who is the controlling man?
We're not even gonna name names in here. We know. Do your research.
But do we really know? Because once you go down the rabbit hole, you'll find that rabbit hole leads to a side hole, and then that hole leads to another hole, and then it's comes around to this hole, and then things go back to Kemet. Why are we so fascinated as Black people with Kemet, some of us? And I don't know if that's even where I originated. It seems like the Blacks from this land were either already here long before Columbus, or we were taken from the west coast of Africa. But we relate to the accomplishments of Kemet so much. And then there's a connection between Osiris and Isis, or Asar and Aset and Heru or Horus, and Jesus or Yeshua. The similar stories. So many of my Christian friends don't want to go down that road. And I was so excited when I started exploring Kemet. And they don't want to hear that. A lot of them, most of my Christian friends, because it's enough for them to open their Bible. If you're going to actually read the Bible, unless you're going to do it on audiobook or whatever, it's going to take you some years. Unless you've done Evelyn Wood speed reading, it's going to take you some years. And when you actually start to read it, you may find little things that seem like discrepancies.
I realized that very young.
And there's still wisdom there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm free to get wisdom from where I can find it on this earth.
To take what you need from it.
Yes, sir.
What you need from it. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
And so that's been part of my journey, I've, show business has just been one part of what I've done growing up. I was in music, played in the band, played saxophone, got into the theater. Teachers would put me in the theater when I was in elementary school. So that's how I started getting in shows and stuff. But I was acting from day one.
Okay.
I was making voices and stuff like that. And, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hit me with another one. Give me sparked up.
I remember seeing you in the Cosby Show. You actually played a doctor. I want to say a resident doctor.
Yes. Yes. Delivered the twins of the oldest daughter.
Yes. Yeah. Vondra. Yeah.
And at first, Lisa Bonet thought I was her. On the first episode, I was on. Lisa Bonet thought I was her blind date, but I was really there for Cosby. And she and I were talking on the couch, and she was saying all this stuff, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." But I didn't really know her. She thought I was the blind date that she had been rapping to on the phone all this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we talk about healing, right? A lot. And in order to, I strongly feel like in order for us to heal as a people, we have to learn how to identify our traumas. And it's important to acknowledge them. And we as Black people, we have a very traumatic past. But my question is, why do you think that what I notice is Black men, most Black men, they do have trouble identifying their traumas? Why do you think that is?
I mean, who's teaching it to them? Who's teaching them how to identify it? Who's teaching them that it's cool to even look for it? Where would they get the inclination to begin that journey when what they're seeing on TV is not that. When what they're seeing on TV is not this conversation that we're having right now, unless they actually go in and find podcasts like this. They know how many points Kobe scored in his last year. They know how many championships Michael Jordan won. You know, they know the codes of their fraternity. And I want to challenge you with this. It's just as traumatic for the perpetrator as the victim. This is just a theory. This is something to think about. This is not a fact. This is an inquiry into a conversation. It's just as much. My stepfather used to beat me with a mailman belt, and back then the mailman had these thick belts like that thick, you know, and they were the only people who I saw wore those thick belts. Everybody else had thin belts. He used to beat me with that, and parents used to say, "It's gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you," to whip you. So in my generation and generations before, it was cool as a sign of love to beat the crap out of your kid if they did something you didn't like. That's trauma.
Yeah, because it's traumatic for the child.
And at the same time, I looked at it as my parents cared about me. Because in the Bible, they kept saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. So I didn't know what psychological effects it was having on me. But I will say this, any man who takes a whip and beats another man or woman or rapes a woman or rapes another man, they're going to have trauma too. Because the experience is a unified experience. So if I put your people in a cage, I'm going to have to deal with that trauma too. I think one of the misconceptions with people of melanated complexions, we think that our trauma is isolated. And I hear Jews say that too sometimes. They think the Holocaust is isolated. We don't think about the people from Hungary or Sweden or whatever, Russia, all the trauma that the whole planet has experienced. Think about if the story of the flood, I'm doing a lot of Bible references today for some reason. Anyway, if there was a flood, like during Noah's time, what trauma did those people experience? So trauma is a part of this experience that we are having on this earth. And each culture or each clan of people want to feel like it's only them who's experiencing the pain. But it's not true. It's not true. Why do you think there's so psychologists? Where do you think who went to psychologists mostly prior to Black people getting more money? It wasn't Black people. Psychologists were not made for Black people. It was all those Caucasians dealing with little Johnny and little Becky and the Karen and all the insanities that they were dealing with, trying to come out of their pain. All the thousands of white churches across the country that don't have a Black person in it, who are so-called experiencing traumas, demon possessions, as they call it, insanities, if you will. So one of our, as Black people, one of our observations that I make personally is that it's not just you. It's life in this planet. Everybody's experiencing paying bills and sicknesses. If you go into any hospital right now, I bet you there's more white people in there than there's Black people. There's more white doctors in there. There's more white nurses in there. Go to Richmond General. Is it called, what's the name of it?
MC.
Richmond.
MCV now.
Go to there. One of my cousins passed away. He got treatment for cancer in there. It's a lot of sickness and pain throughout the world. And if you keep yourself in the box that only is happening to you, you will stay in a victim mentality. You will never be free, whatever freedom is. You will never experience that fully because you've placed yourself in a box of pain. Now, how do we get out of that pain? What if we change the channel? Like people say, watch comedy. People go to comedy clubs because they want to get free of all the drama that they experience every day.
Yep. You want to laugh.
You want to laugh. And sometimes the comedian is saying something that's really not funny. It's painful. You know,
yeah.
It's really sad, the beefing that goes on between the comedians, the hate that they have for each other.
Yeah.
It's there because they experienced that trauma as a kid that gave them something that made them have that talent. Life was so painful that they had to express it. Tyler Perry talks about his childhood getting beat up by his dad, and he had to express it, whether it's through Medea or whatever. And we laugh at each other and we put each other down. So recognizing the trauma, what if we skip trying to pinpoint each little fiber of what's missing and go straight to, I want to feel good. A lot of people call it spiritual bypassing, right? Because they want to reenact that situation. They want to reenact slavery. They want to reenact getting bit by dogs. They want to reenact the riots. They want to reenact how bad we have it instead of going straight to, man, I'm highly blessed and highly favored. I'm healthy, wealthy, wise, true to myself, and free. And I'm at the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right things right now, right on. Everything is working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Robert Townsend told me one day, he said, I always win. And for a split second, I'm like, this dude is arrogant. Then it clicked. It's that mama, dad, mama, dad, winner, feel good, winner, feel good. I'm talented. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm feeling
affirmation.
I'm great.
Affirmation.
I'm awesome.
Great.
I'm amazing.
I'm great.
Let's go.
I'm a king. Life is good. Good things happen to me.
Let's go.
All my ailments are healed. Not tomorrow. Not yesterday. My life is good. Why? Because I got a bunch of money in my pocket? Nope. Why? Because I'm 6 feet tall? Why? Because my father was the president of Uganda? Because I say so. And I say so now.
Power
in this moment. Destiny. Yep.
You know,
power of
the
tongue.
tongue is, power of life is in the tongue.
So we got to speak life into ourselves and those around us. And whether it's comedians, police officers, firemen, doctors, whatever profession, that's not, it's us as a human thing. I don't know what this human thing is. I don't know where we came from. They say we're spinning miles and miles around the sun at some incredible rate of speed out in some galaxy. And all we think about is our little, our jewelry and our little, what ring we got and what bag we got. Yeah, I got me a Fendi bag and I got me a Gucci this and da-da-da. That's where we are right there. But if you go on the macro level and you go, where are we? I don't know where we are.
Well, let's
the
take
reality makers shape thought. whether it's the Catholic Church, whether it's school, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's the image of a Black president.
Yeah.
The reality makers come in and mama, dada, mama, dada, mama, dada.
Back to the basics. Back to the basics. Back to the basics. So before we get out here, I do want to touch on one more thing that I love that you spoke on, because I did my research, and I do love this quote. I am healthy, wealthy, wise, true to myself, and free. I am at the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing right now. Right on. So I just want to say, when I heard that quote, that is now going to be a quote that I live by on my day to day. I think it fits with the journey that I'm on currently right now. So I want to kind of go back to the beginning before we wrap up. Nina, you can close out. But
how much time do we have?
Definitely. Michelle's behind the board, so let's see what.
In this moment, in this session, we have 5 minutes, but
because I had like 3 more questions.
Okay,
That's fine.
well, we may go over, and for you, Tico, the world is yours.
All right. All right.
I'm just
so
a
bad.
timekeeper. Yeah, I'm just a timekeeper. They knock the
So
clock
basically, I have Zoom until 8:45. So 8:45 will be the cutoff. This will cut off at 8:45. So, but go ahead.
One of my questions is on Black Hollywood entertainment. Now, we just recently lost one of our icons, Lou Gossett Jr. And just thinking of the caliber of talent in Black entertainment, I want to touch on Taraji. It was like a couple of months ago, she spoke on how we're often overworked or underpaid. And we are the blueprint, let's be honest, right? We are the commodity. And I hate to use that word, but we are the blueprint. Everything we touch
With the talent. Yeah.
is platinum. But I want to know, why do we often continue to beg to be in their spaces, like with these award shows? And I often say, why do we keep asking to sit at their lunch counters knowing that they're going to spit in our food? We are the talent. So why do we keep begging and be in these spaces where we become a guest in the house that we built?
Mama, dada.
Mama.
That's it.
Conditioning is very difficult to overcome, especially like you said about the trauma, when you don't even know it exists. So, and you mentioned Louis Gossett Jr., Lou Gossett. I first saw him, my first memories of him are in the early 60s. He was on a show called The Young Rebels, and there was a show about the Revolutionary War. And I believe he was playing Crispus Attucks, the only Black man that they celebrated during that time in the Revolutionary War. And he had hair. And he was one of my first images of a Black man on television that sort of inspired me that I could do it too. There are only certain people who don't really follow the regular line, and even within each group. So in the entertainment group, there's entertainers in general are weirdos to society.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, you gonna play that horn all day? What's wrong with you playing that horn? You better go get you a job.
You up all night?
Why you writing them stupid raps all day? You writing them raps. You better get you a job. So we as entertainers and artists are the weirdos anyway. And within the group of weirdos, you got super weirdos who go even beyond the status quo. they create their own thing. Dame Dash is constantly blowing the horn of be your own boss.
Yep.
But if you're not used to that concept, and if you're not willing to have weeks where there's no money coming in, or you don't know where that money's coming in, most people can't stand that heat. That's either born in you or you can develop it. You know, I've been an entrepreneur or freelance person most of my life. Like I said, when I was in college, I had little jobs at the library and stuff like that while I was in school. I sold newspapers. Like I said, all the way back to when I was 8, I was selling vegetables and stuff. So I had the experience of making my own money. You know, a lot of people, their experience from mama and dada is you go to the man and you fill out an application.
You work your
hours. You go to college and then you go fill out an application. Don't try to save the city. Don't try to save your people. Don't try to uplift your community. Get a job. And I'm from DC. So what our super success was in DC was, oh, so-and-so got one of them good government jobs.
Got the corp, yeah.
Okay, that was the sign of success. It didn't matter what you were doing. You could be blowing up.
The trash man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? People didn't care what you. And most of the people who had those government jobs really didn't like what they were doing. My mother worked in the government. She didn't like the post office. She said it was filthy. And a lot of alcoholics. My stepdad was in the post office. My father was in the post office. My grandfather was in the post office. My uncle was in the post office. My other uncle was in the post office. My other uncle was in the post office. And then all the women were teachers. So that mama and dada, it goes deep. It cuts deep. So even in Hollywood, when people come to Hollywood, you have to, if you're an actor, you get an agent. Okay, the thousands of us actors, the first step to try to break through to the gatekeepers is the agents. And then there's a hierarchy of agencies. At the top sits CAA, William Morris, ICM. They run the agency game. And it's a few more under them that are still big. But those top agencies, I used to be with one of them. And it was a whole different treatment when I was with ICM, as they were called. They had Denzel. They had Arnold Schwarzenegger. They had Samuel Jackson. They didn't need Tico Wells. They didn't need Jasmine Guy. You know? So Denzel or somebody like that, he may be with the president. So his career is going to go maybe in a different direction. The talent is there across the board. Like you said, we got talent. Why don't different careers go in the same direction? Well, everybody's different. Everybody has different karma. Everybody has a different path. But also, those who make the decisions have their favorites. So if I got a stable of prostitutes and I got a favorite one, I'm going to think she's my bottom.
You got that bottom one.
Yeah.
She's my main one. So if I get a client, I say, hey man, I got just the one for you. And then that other one who may be a little homely, she ain't gonna get as much work. Matter of fact, I may not treat her as good. And it's the same in Hollywood. If you're with one of those top agencies, they're gonna gobble up all your big name stars. And then so those other agencies, they're taking the fallout and trying to feed their clients with the fallout. Does that make sense?
Yes,
it's
sir.
a pyramid. It's a pyramid. It's only a few at the top. And by the time you got one of those 4th, 5th, 6th level agents, they hardly can even get in their phone calls return. You might be the most talented actor, singer, whatever, but your agent can't get to the phone call return. So
I hear that.
Did that answer that question at all?
Yes, sir.
That's how I see it. You know, and to actually, when people say, well, make your own movie. Well, I'm only trained as a singer or an actor. I don't know nothing about movie making.
Not to create.
Well, train yourself.
Learn.
Learn.
That's
we can
what
learn anything.
That's where the student comes in.
We got the
and it gets
internet
fun.
now. I'm working on a film now for a friend of mine in PG County, and his company's called First Generation College Bound. And I've done a series of documentaries and things, and now I'm working on a documentary for him. But what is it giving me experience in? Ding. We don't have a big budget. I don't care. I get to direct. I get to edit. I get to make the decisions. I get to produce. I get to learn. So for the last 33 years, I've been working on my craft as a director. I went to American Film Institute to study directing. I went to the film industry workshops to study directing. Have I busted through as a big-time director? No. But am I doing my craft? Yes. Does everybody know me as a director? No. Do I care? No. Do I play drums? Yes. Do I play African drums? Yes.
Come on now.
Does most of the world know Choir Boy as a drummer? No. Do I care? No. Because I'm an artist. I get to create. And it's not about somebody telling me I can do it. In Hollywood, we're trained that people come up to me, man, is it slow for you, man? It's kind of slow, and it's been slow out there. I say, man, it's never slow. I don't put those words in my mouth. It's slow.
I'm busy.
Well, you better go sit down and write a script somewhere. You better take a class or get a script and practice with a friend, work on your craft.
Learn how to become resourceful.
Learn how to become resourceful.
Develop a skill.
I shot my documentary on my iPhone. The iPhone is in HD. Most televisions are in HD. Yep. Not even 4K, even though they might have 4K televisions. Most televisions are not even set up for 4K, and the interaction between the camera and the television, it's not even there yet. All you need is high definition.
That's it.
And we all have it in our pocket.
Get started.
Just start.
Get started.
Just start and find new ways to monetize ourselves and to succeed and survive. And if you believe in the spirit of the universe, you know you're going to be taken care of. How big of a house do you need? How many cars do you need?
Come on,
how many Gucci bags do you need?
Absolutely.
Come on, man.
And it's not tangible.
You don't even need them.
Help somebody. Create something. Most people don't like their jobs. They're just working to barely pay the bills.
Barely.
And if they have a job where they can save a little money, a lot of them are some are tied. Some people have found a way to work and enjoy their life as well. And they find meaningful positions in life. That's what it's all about to me. You can train yourself to make money if that's your goal in life, to become rich. If that's your goal, to have 10 cars and 15 Gucci bags and
what Bernie Mac said, what you got all them toilets for? You only got one ass.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So let me ask y'all a question.
Come on, brother. Let's go. I like
y'all
that.
Started on it a little bit. There's a craze right now, the podcast craze.
Okay.
Much of it is frivolous, but some of it is very, very on point. What is this craze about? Are we just so starved to see ourselves and to communicate? Or is it about, can I get enough likes to get monetized? What's your feeling on that?
I'm going to let you start because I know exactly.
I actually think it's both. Especially with the second one.
Now, hold on. Are you speaking to us or are you just talking in the culture in general? because I had a two-parter to that. I was going to speak in the culture in general, which I do believe what you said, but I also want to speak to why we do what we do. But go ahead.
Express yourself.
Come on.
So I think for some people, like you said, it's about getting the most likes. It's about what they say, getting the tea and, just exposing. Now, don't get me wrong, certain people need to be exposed. But when it gets to a point where you're intentional about destroying people's lives, or the way we look, the way we act, we are in some roles, it's like we are comfortable in our ignorance. When you looking like different networks or different podcasters who are beefing, like you said, and it's like, what is your goal here? What is your end goal? For us, and I'm gonna let Pete take it away because we have this discussion almost on the daily.
Yeah.
What our goal is for the podcast.
So what we want to bring to the podcast space is a honest information space, right? We need to start taking advantage of the tools that we have at our disposals. And I go back to what you said about coming from the generation of using the encyclopedia, right? You trusted that as a trusted resource, right? You knew when you read the encyclopedia, the information you got from that was either double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked before they printed that, right? To the point where they even did revised versions, right? Like you got the updated version that came out the year later or 2 years later, whatever, right? For me, I want to create a consistent space where people can trust the people behind the camera, right?
Safe space.
A safe space for what we share is information that can be used. It doesn't have to be used today, tomorrow. But if a person goes back 10 years from now, what can they gain from this conversation? What can they learn from this conversation? How are they able to grow or even apply what they've learned or heard to their life, right? And so for me, when I got into this space, again, Tico touched on a lot of things about how Black men are being raised, about being tough, be strong, don't be vulnerable. And for a lot of us, it puts us in situations that I don't believe we wanted to be in, but because of how society, mama, dad, that's gonna be my new motion moving forward. It puts us in these situations that later on as we develop these journeys, because as Tico said, I've often been a student of learning, right? But along the way with life gets to life, and then you feel like I need to do this. And for me, it's now a space to let men know, especially, you can be open. You can take a journey of self-discovery. You can reinvent yourself. You don't have to put yourself in a box. And Tico, a little bit of my past is I did the street thing, right? So I was a drug dealer and all of that, things like that. My dad was one, he's in jail. And I wanted to break that. So with this space, I wanted to bring a positive space to media, right? And I'm not just looking at it from a podcast. Everything Tico said sparks to me because I want to be in media. I want to create my own shows. I want to control the narrative of our stories being told in our own space. So we all can eat. That's from clothing line. If anybody knows me, I'm often wearing Black brands. I'm supporting Black businesses. We don't need to just talk about it. We need to be about it. So that's why I'm in this space, Tico, and I'm not in it for just the likes and stuff now. I want to get paid for my creativity because I believe what we have is of a value, as Nene said. We have a value. We know we push the needle. So when the right offer comes along, we still would own the content, but I would be willing to do a partnership or something to make money because the goal is to create generational wealth. But to show the next person down the line, you don't have to do it with clickbait and degrading another Black man or another Black female. We don't have to hate each other. There's plenty of us in this space and we can all eat and we can all get money together. So
I would like to I'd like to chime in. I know it's not my show.
No, go ahead.
I'd like to chime in on why I do it, why we have the podcast, why I created the studio. And I know that Tico knows we talk back and forth quite often.
Michelle's not on camera, but we're going to put a picture of her up when I edit.
Get a good one.
I got you.
And one of the things that I had a conversation with another radio personality that said, well, I don't care what people say. And I said, no, yes, you do. You wouldn't have a platform. You wouldn't have a microphone in front of your face if you did not care what people think. And so with that being said, with that being my notion, I feel like I have to be responsible for the words that come out of my mouth. And I think that being authentic and being organic is important, especially today, that we represent ourselves in our best light. And that is the beginning and end of it. I want to uplift. I like to be what I say I am. And I would like for my walk and my talk not to be so far apart. So you recognize me when I'm coming.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
And for me to add to what both of you said, it's also a place, again, I'm going to stress a safe space for us to have honest conversations because we are way too comfortable being uncomfortable. And we need to have these uncomfortable conversations because those uncomfortable conversations it helps us understand the trauma that because a lot of us been through traumatic experiences. I know I have. And we need to be honest about that. And being honest talking about this, I need our people to understand it is not a sign of weakness. But being able to be honest and open and intentional about it, it leads to a door of healing. Because in order for us to heal as a whole, we have to heal as an individual. And we got to start somewhere that's acknowledging, when our wrongs. Because some people, in order for you to take accountability, you have to have acknowledgement of what role you played in the situation. And that's just, and when you pack all that together, I mean, just look how amazing things can turn out. Because it definitely will lead you on a path of learning how to communicate with each other. Because when we start working on that path of healing, it changes the way we speak to each other, the way we love on each other, the way we communicate with each other, especially Black man, Black woman. It changes the way the Black men communicate and deal with each other. And it's okay to show emotion to your fellow brother and your fellow sister without having to worry about society placing this type of stigma on you, or because you have to be gay because you show your brother some love, or you show your sister some love and give them a compliment. Again, it goes back to what you're saying, referencing, what's up, king? What's up, queen? It puts you on a different level. And we have to stop also being upset with each other because we talk about things that we feel that need to be kept at home in private. This is why we are damaged. That's the problem. And we need to start recognizing that. So that's why it's important for me. I don't care about the clickbait. I don't care about getting all in people's business. Yeah. What I care about is how we impact our community.
Yeah. God, I just had a thought. Can you imagine a 12-year-old child leaving home? Do any of y'all have kids? You said you're a mother, right? Mm-hmm. How old is your oldest child?
He's 24.
Okay. Think back when he was 12 years old. That 12-year-old son. Can you imagine him packing up a bag and traveling across the country by himself? What he may have run into?
I couldn't even fathom the thought.
So a comedian came on the podcast world and rocked the world this year and said that he left home at 12. And nobody even stopped to blink to think of what trauma that might have been and how that developed in him the ability to protect himself from danger, from all kinds of crazy characters out in the park. We never even thought about that trauma. Getting in a truck at a truck stop with somebody and riding to Florida.
Yeah.
12 years old, 13 years old.
That's
I
actually
thought I
where
could do that at that age. I thought I was grown enough to do that at that age.
Mhm.
But it's still scary now. At 63, the world can be scary. 12 years old. These are the types of stories, like you're saying, the trauma that we've experienced. We're not aware that every person we meet has some variation of trauma. It may be degrees. And we may say, oh, this white person over here has not experienced trauma, but in their little Buffy and Jody world, you know, not being able to go to the Saturday's hockey game when they were 6 might have been traumatic for that person.
Mm.
And how do we weigh trauma? Is my trauma worse than your trauma? Is your worst trauma worse than mine? I don't think we can compare trauma because it impacts us. And that little 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 2-year-old doesn't know the difference. It just feels pain. I remember telling my mother one time when I was about 2 or 3 years old, "You hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings." Where did that energy go? Did I release it? Did I overcome it? I don't know. But I do know this, and I got this from Abraham Hicks, that we can start by moving towards feeling better and feeling better and feeling a little bit better and feeling a little bit better. And when those negative energies come up on us, we may have to chill for a minute. We may have to go to sleep. We may have to stop and meditate. We may have to go to a comedy club.
we have to take a break.
We may have to take a break to get that stuff off of us, because we walk around with it. We walk around with the pain and the trauma. And I've heard a lot of women say, you know, I need to experience that. They want to experience that emotion. Some women, not just women, but women have expressed it to me a lot, that they don't want to bypass those negative feelings. And sometimes the masculine entity doesn't want to deal with that. They want to push that. And that's how we deal with it sometimes, is neither one is right or wrong. Neither one is right or wrong. And we try to make the masculine act like the feminine and the feminine act like the masculine. And it's two polarities. So I can't make you want to be more masculine and deal with everything like I deal with it. And I don't want to be made more feminine to deal with it like a feminine energy. And we all have masculine and feminine in us at different variations. So it's not about just being all masculine and have no sensitivity whatsoever, or being all feminine that I can't even make a decision. No, I don't think so.
So my last question before Pete closes it out, I know you have a Make Peace Be You movement.
Yes.
Make Peace You,
Make Peace You movement. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? And also, I always ask my guests to leave us with some words of wisdom, if you could.
So I was in a class one time in 2011 called Self-Expression and Leadership Program, and everybody had to do a community project. And my project was to start a YouTube channel, and I called it Make Peace You, with the letter U, all one word. And I asked people from the beginning, how do we create peace?
Oh, that's dope. All right. Well, as Nene said before I wrap up, we like to always tell people, we like to have our guests to let people know where they can find you at. I tried to find you on Instagram, so I see you not there, but let them know where they can find you at. And if they can't find you, let them know what you got going on and what they should be on the lookout for that you have coming up. Because I heard you working on something.
Well, I'm going to ask you two to send me a 1 or 2 minute clip on how do we create peace. And you can text it to me.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
You
Just
got that.
point the camera at yourself, say your name, say a little bit about it, and then at the end, just say, make peace you. Would y'all do that for me?
Yes,
Definitely.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. I'm not really on Instagram. I started a group page called Holistic Conversations on Facebook. They can go there, and they can find out about our organization that we try to enlighten people and share ideas about health, both mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's called Holistic Conversations.
Okay.
And right now, like I said, I'm just working on my documentary. I'm hiking the hills of California, and just living, man. I have no TV shows coming up.
Okay.
I have a movie that's supposed to come out at some point called Jacob, Broken by God. I don't know when it's coming out. It's an independent film.
That's all right.
That we shot in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And I've been doing these podcasts. So you can find me if you really want to find me.
That's right, because and that's why we have you on here. And from both of us, we definitely want to thank you. And we're gonna kind of ask for the same favor. If you can shoot a little clip of us saying, just hey, I'm on Brutally Opinionated Podcast, and just give a little clip, send it over to us, and
I will.
One hand wash the other. But
I will.
From us,
I appreciate y'all thinking that I was worthy to be on your show.
Oh, of course. This conversation was so dope, and I feel like
I want to continue.
I feel like we left them on the table. I feel like we got more questions for you, and I feel like this can be another conversation. So
we could do a part 2.
And since you out there in California, and my sister has some West Coast connections, we have been traveling. So who knows? We may end up on the West Coast.
That's right.
So
that's right.
We can coordinate something. We can definitely coordinate something. So from Big PJR, my sister Shanika Nate, aka Nene, thank you for joining us on the Brutally Opinionated Podcast tonight, my brother. And you have a blessed evening. Conversation was amazing, and we'll definitely share the link with you when it's posted. Probably be posted next week. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Continued success. May y'all be blessed every moment, and stay healthy, wealthy, wise, true to yourselves, and free, because you're at the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right things right now. Right on.
Right on, my brother. Peace.
Hey, fam, what's up? This is Tico Wells. Some of y'all know me as Choir Boy from the 5 Heartbeats. Listen, check out Brutally Opinionated Podcast, where some of the most beautiful and sometimes tough conversations are being had on Spotify and other social media outlets. All right, have a great day. Peace.